Capricorn, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for August of 2015. My name is Athen. So things are unfolding this month. A lot of it does have to do with your ruler Saturn, actually, who right at the beginning of the month goes station direct, which is nice. So coming out of that very reflective time over the past 5 months, which is usually the case for you when your ruler goes retrograde. So now basically what's going on is that Saturn recently went into your 10th house. So the things that you've been reflecting on recently since last month about your work and your career, things like that perhaps, is going to start to move direct for you. And all areas of life, you'll notice, will probably start to move forward in a sense. So that being said, Saturn here in your 10th house is where he had been for 3 years, up until, well, 2.5 years up until this later part of 2014, because at the end of last year, he went into your 11th. So he's dipping back in here. Since last month, he's dipped back in here in your 10th to help you finish up some things relating to career, public life, legacy, things like that, which is, of course, your house and your ruler, and he's exalted in Libra to do that stuff and to put in that hard work and discipline. And Saturn is going to be forming a lot of aspects, well, squares primarily, with the fast-moving planets trining up to Mars, so you should feel a good energy, a good vigor this month. Yeah, hard work is really the key, which is, of course, a Capricorn tendency anyways, which is good. So things moving direct on the 1st and 2nd. Then on the 3rd, we've got Jupiter squaring up to Saturn. So I think there is this optimism about it. Just stay grounded, of course, because Jupiter tends to uplift that Saturn Sirius energy. But likewise, Saturn, tends to really refine and constrict that expansive, optimistic energy, which is in the area of relationships for you, which has been Jupiter transiting that 7th house for roughly the past year. So the energy here, this early part of the month before Jupiter transitions into your 8th, where he's headed, is to, work hard on this relationship stuff, stay grounded, mature, whatever long-lasting things you're building there. The more open you are to that commitment, maturity, and self-discipline in regards to your one-on-one connections and legal matters and business and things like that, it can be very expansive, because these two planets working in tandem is where Jupiter sees the possibilities and then Saturn makes them into a reality. So some things to consider there with that this early part of the month. And what's interesting too is there's this three-way conjunction, the stellium, happening a little bit later on the 6th and 7th. And when that happens, we have Jupiter and Mercury going into your 8th, where there's going to be a transition, and then Venus, who recently went retrograde in your 8th, going back into your 7th. So around the 6th and 7th time period, first of all with Venus, is reflect on what it is that you really value about your connections, your one-on-one relationships. And this is all relationships, by the way. Reflect on anything relating to your businesses or contracts or legal dealings as well. And this is for the whole month going into next month, as well too. So the important thing here is to reflect on it, be willing to redo, rethink, a lot of this 7th house things. But you should be quite optimistic about it. I mean, it depends for each of you individually, because Saturn is going to be squaring up to this position. So it's probably going to be a little bit of both, generally speaking, but there is some, hard work to be put into here to help you, again, discipline that relationship stuff. Venus does naturally rule your 10th house anyways, too. So a lot of that hard work to be put in towards career and public life is certainly emphasized around this time as well, and your self-expression as well. So that being said, you should be optimistic about that at the same time, and there's this shift of optimism going from the relationship side of things and into the deeper side of things. So this is where you can perhaps take a relationship to another level, if it's romantic, or just getting more open, more deep, more transparent, more vulnerable in your relationships in general. But you'll find that actually quite nice, because this is, again, Jupiter. So for the next year, I really recommend going into the depths of things, the truth, especially with Mercury here as well this month, is understanding more about the occult, the truth of life, the ebb and flows, what's really going on, what's behind the veils of what we normally see in the world and in society and things like that, but with yourself as well and with your relationships. So very expansive there, and I think you can be thinking about this stuff quite a bit, and should be quite optimistic about travel, expansion, and perhaps even the routine stuff should be going quite nice, since Mercury does rule your 6th and your 9th house. So that's the 6th through the 7th kind of time period, and at that same time, the Saturn transit will be trining up to Mars, who's recently going to go into your 7th house here on the 6th. So as you can see here, Mars, right when he transitions into the 6th and 7th, trining up to Saturn, it does suggest now for the next couple months, you can certainly put in that assertive energy in your relationships, in your one-on-one connections, how to assert yourself, how to be direct, with your exchanges and things like that. Now, the thing is that Mars isn't in the best position. He's in Cancer, but he's going to be shifting into Leo the later part of the month. So you'll probably notice that energy easing up. So stay balanced with the relationship stuff. Try not to go to any extremes with Mars. But I think that trying up to your ruler will just mean that I think you have a lot of energy available, and it can certainly be in the area of either business and stuff or with career and things like that. So that's that shift around the 7th. And then on the 12th, we've got Mercury opposing up to Neptune. So there's this importance of balancing this month, as there usually is every month. And it's involving the 8th house and your 2nd house. So with all of this expansion here that's taking place for you, with those deeper elements of life, there's also the simple pleasures of life, which has been Neptune in your 2nd house, helping you have more faith and trust with abundance, with the finances, with the material enjoyments, and how to relax and enjoy these things. So that there is reminding you that there's this importance of both. There is this deeper stuff in life, which is, of course, very important. But at the same time, there's also the simple life, the simple pleasures, especially of the material or sensual sense. So be sure to enjoy both. And if there's anything about either one of these that you're not quite really understanding and you're really trying to, which is Mercury opposing up to Neptune, have the faith, have the trust, because that's what is really unfolding, especially about these ebb and flows and about these material things for you. And that's going to be an ongoing theme too once the Sun opposes up to Neptune at the tail end of this month as well. So that's the 12th, and then on the 14th, we have that new moon in that 7th house. So there are certainly some new beginnings shaping up for the relationship stuff, perhaps relating a lot to do with what you've learned about relationships this month, what your values are, what you enjoy about them. And this can be new beginnings with your self-expression and work as well, since Venus does rule that, because the new moon will be very close to Venus here. So that being said, reflect around this time, because the energies will be quite low, generally speaking, for us in the middle part of the month here around the 14th, when we have the new moon, which is supposed to be a time of reflection and peace and just, thinking about these things. So reflect around the 14th in regards to your one-on-one connections and relationships and what you value about them in particular. And then you'll notice as the rest of the month unfolds, more of that energy available for putting into these relationships and these deeper elements of life as well. So that's the 14th energy. And then on the 21st, we've got the Sun. This is the next major thing going on. The Sun goes into your 8th house. So here, the Sun in the 8th always magnifies, always illuminates a lot of these deeper things, which is actually quite nice because you can express it. The Sun's in dignity in Leo in this location. So there's a lot of this, it's like a torch, and there's this torch in these deeper elements, whether it's with yourself, relationships. So it allows you to get deep, to get vulnerable, to get real. And the more open you are to that, which I think you will be, the more it allows the changes to happen in life and those ebb and flows to take place, because this is a watery house and it's about acceptance. And so first of all, we have to want to see the truth. Then once we see the truth, we have to accept it. And honestly, that's all the 8th house is about acceptance unconditionally. And then naturally what happens is there's, because it's a water house, everything else sort of tends to flow. Just like the 12th house, once we have that surrender and faith, everything flows from then on out as well. So that's the Sun here. Lots to say, lots to express about the truth of life, which is really good. And then the Sun will be conjoining up to Jupiter on the 26th. So there's optimism about it, which is really good. And a lot of this, perhaps opportunities here to connect to these things. Now, the Sun does naturally rule your 8th house, so I think that's going to really emphasize things, because you Capricorns don't shy away from seeing the truth, since Leo is on the cusp of your 8th, which is good. But all of that is very expansive. There can certainly be some opportunities to get involved with these 8th house things. 8th house is also shared resources. It's also releasing yourself from bonds, from things that hold you back, sometimes debts, things like that. Stepping into your power when appropriate. These are the kind of 8th house matters that that are seen from this. So expansive though nonetheless, and maybe some opportunities relating to getting deeper on some level. So that being said, Jupiter does rule your 3rd and your 12th house as well. So I think there's a lot being magnified this month, a lot being understood about your unconscious, you on that deeper level, and even how you communicate and exchange these things as well, this deeper side of yourself. So that's going to be that conjunction around the 26th, and then at that same time, Mercury goes into that 9th house. So there's a transformation of the mind taking place this month in this later part, which is where you've been seeing the deeper stuff, hopefully, and working with it, perhaps learning about it, reading books about esoteric information or whatever. And then now he goes into the much more philosophical, expansive part of life, which is what this whole year is about for you, since you do have the North Node transiting the 9th. And when I say it's what this year is about, it's not that it's that you've been feeling it necessarily. It depends on your personal chart. The North Node is merely an opening, a gateway, where the life path is unfolding. So it's very important for you to, this whole year up until around November, to continue to want to open your horizons, perhaps whether it's physically, such as through traveling, or just of the mind, learning more about astrology, learning more in general about life and wisdom. Is going to be the key, and this can certainly be activated this later part of the month. So I do recommend that, especially when it's done on a very practical level, which is Mercury in dignity in Virgo. So that's the 28th, and then on the 29th, your ruler Saturn goes back into your 11th, where he's there to stay. So anything that you did work on relating to career and legacy or public life is finished there for this whole Saturn cycle. So now for the next 2.5 years, you have the discipline to get involved with networking, friends, groups, ideals, visions, technology, things like that of the 11th house, which you've already got a flavor of since Saturn's been here this early part of 2015. So working hard on that. By this point, Saturn is actually pretty well aspected, but still squaring from Jupiter does remind you that there are maybe some things to see and to do and to put that hard work energy into relating to these 11th house matters. But you'll feel this shift. It's subtle. It's not going to be exact for everybody because it's the house placements, but certainly going into September. So that's your ruler Saturn. And then also on the 29th, we've got a full moon happening in Aquarius in your 2nd house. So for those of you who have been working on anything relating to the material side of things, assets, finances, your sense of self-worth, over the past 6 months can come to a high point and culmination now at the end of this month. So it's a good month for continuing those things as you might be putting in the final nails in, so to speak, to cultivate this part of your life. So this is about the simple pleasures, the material pleasures, sensual things, and balancing this again with the 8th house will be important. But seeing what it is that what's truly meaningful to you in life will help illuminate even more these culminations of your 2nd house this later part of the month. So that's the 29th. That's pretty much the month. But going into September, I want to mention that Venus and Mars will be very close. They'll be conjunct going into September. So this is about your relationships, your one-on-one connections. So if you have been, putting in that assertive energy and direct in that balanced way and learning more about what it is you value about relationships, then this can be a very, very passionate time, actually, whether it's romantic or not. It's just all your one-on-one connections will probably have this sort of quality about them that is very exciting, very passionate, and it can certainly be emphasized with this conjunction. So the key here with that is to enjoy them and continue to learn about them, and anything that you're thinking about asserting, putting your energy into, or taking action in regards to relationships, this can be a good time going into September mostly. And then of course the Sun will be opposing up to Neptune as well. So again, trust and faith in regards to the 2nd house and 8th house matters will be a continuous importance this month. So Capricorn, have a nice month. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you're new to Sidereal, do check out the website, or if you'd like a personal session, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.